You are Locked On Knicks POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Knicks were happy to be home, and tonight had all the markings of a laugher until it wasn't. The Knicks led the visiting Washington Wizards by, get this, folks, 33 at one point. Washington trimmed that lead all the way down to 4 in the fourth quarter. Needless to say, nobody was laughing at Madison Square Garden at that point. But despite the furious comeback from Washington, the Knicks pulled away late to grab the victory. 122-103, the final score. 4 points turned out to be as close as Washington would get. New York snaps their mini 2-game losing skid. They improved to 4-4 without Jalen Brunson in the lineup. Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Berman. If you're a New Yorker, you might recognize my work. If not, welcome aboard. I've spent more than 2 decades in the biz, everything from TV to web to radio. Glad to have you aboard. Also, follow me on X at Jay Berman, Jayberman. Welcome to the Locked On Knicks postcast, both on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel and the Locked On Knicks podcast feed. The postcast gives you a place to hang out after every single Knicks game. That's what we do right here. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. New York had 3 players score over 20 tonight. Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby. Bridges scored 20 in the second quarter alone. Let's break it all down. All that coming up on the postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And before we begin, want to let you know your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. As we said, 122-103, the final score. Knicks improved to 4-4 now without Jalen Brunson. Of course, if you want to count the game Brunson got hurt in, the Knicks are 4-5. That was, of course, the Lakers game. Everything since then, the Knicks have played 8 games since then. They're 4-4 without Brunson. So holding their heads above water. Now, through 70 games, because the Knicks are now 44-26, so they have 12 games to go. We told you this the last couple of nights, so it's worthy of repeating. Through 70 games now, the Knicks have their best team record in nearly 3 decades. 28 years ago was the last time the Knicks had this many wins through 70 games. Also, the Knicks are now 32-9 against teams below 500. Of course, that record was a lot better before San Antonio and Charlotte this past week, but they get one back against, technically, record-wise, the worst team in the NBA in Washington. So things started sort of normally, if you will, when a good team meets a bad team in the NBA. Knicks were not exactly lighting it up in the first quarter, but good enough. They led by 10 after 1, 31-21. The second quarter is where things got really interesting, specifically Mikal Bridges. Bridges, at one point in the second quarter alone, scored 14 consecutive Knick points. Now, he had 20 total in the second quarter alone. That's the second most in any quarter of his career. He finished with 24 in the first half and 27 for the game. Now, at first glance, you might think, well, he only scored 3 points in the second half. Au contraire. He was a plus 25, which, of course, we discuss nightly here on the show. A plus 25 in the plus-minus category, by far the best of any player on the floor tonight. So despite the fact the points weren't there in the second half for Bridges, all-around game was certainly there from number 25. 10 of 20 from the floor, 4 3-pointers, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block, and did not commit a foul. So an all-around excellent game from Mikal Bridges. Karl Anthony Towns, just like Bridges, was 10 of 20 from the floor. Towns finished with a game-high 31, also had 11 rebounds. As we said, 3 Knicks scored at least 20. The other was OG Anunoby. He was 8 of 12 from the floor. In fact, missed 4 shots total. One of them was a 3, so he only missed 3 two-pointers all night. And OG finished with 23. So 27 for Bridges, 23 for OG, 31 for Karl Anthony Towns. Now, in case you missed it, Deuce McBride did not play tonight. So the Knicks were technically down their top 2 point guards. Obviously, Cam Payne got the start, but Tyler Kolek saw important minutes. In fact, he played 18 minutes off the bench. Cam Payne played 30. Of course, he was the starting point guard tonight, poured in 13, hit 3 3-pointers. So a very nice night from Cam Payne in relief of Deuce McBride, who, of course, was the starter in relief of Jalen Brunson. We have injury updates on 2 separate Knicks, Ariel Hukporti and obviously, more importantly, Jalen Brunson. We'll get to that coming up. The Wizards, as we said, have the worst record in the NBA. They're now 15 and 55. They're 8 and 28 away. Believe it or not, they have more wins away from DC than they do at home. They were led by Jordan Poole, who is their top scorer. He had 25 on 9 of 17 shooting. As for the Knicks' 3-point percentage and defense, well, the defense started off well. In fact, just 1 3-pointer for Washington in the first half. They turned things around in the second half, specifically the third and fourth quarters, late third, early fourth. And again, they were 11 of 36. So that's 30% decent from a defensive standpoint from the Knicks. As for the Knicks, 3-point shooting of their own, 13 of 35 for 37%, right around where they usually are. Knicks shot 48% from the field tonight, 44 of 91, and they held Washington to 44% shooting. So some good defense there from the Knicks tonight. As we said, a 33-point lead was cut down to 4. We were talking about garbage minutes in the fourth quarter. Instead, all the starters were playing. In fact, all of them went over 30 minutes. And considering the Knicks were up by 33, you figured all 5 starters would be under the 30-minute mark. Well, things changed, specifically late third, early fourth. Bridges ends up playing 38 minutes, as does Josh Hart. Hart finished with 9 points and 12 rebounds. He was 4 of 10 from the floor. Again, 38 minutes apiece for Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges, 37 for Cat. And again, it was a productive night in the plus-minus category for New York. As we said, Bridges was a plus 25, Josh Hart a plus 22, and Karl Anthony Towns a plus 20. As we said, we do have some injury updates. We'll do that next after a quick break. And, of course, we'll run through the schedule, which, as you know by now, is a little bit more friendly than all those road games. Next 5 of the next 6 will be at Madison Square Garden. We have injuries and schedules to do next. Stay tuned. All right, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Picking my favorites? Oh, I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. All of your fave. Staying in the action with tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. Easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com, get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, quick break, and we are back, folks, as the Knicks beat the Wizards 122-103. My name is Jay Berman. Welcome to the Knicks Postcast, a return home and then a victory over the Washington Wizards. Knicks are now 44-26. Again, their best mark through 70 games in 3 decades. They're 23-11 at home. And as we said, they've got more home games coming up. We'll get to it. As for the injury concerns, we'll start with Deuce, who did not play tonight. Left groin contusion is what they're calling it. He was on the bench tonight in street clothes. But again, the fact that Deuce didn't play meant 30 minutes for Cam Payne and almost 20 for Tyler Kolek. By the way, Tyler Kolek dished out 8 assists tonight in just 18 minutes. Excellent stuff from Tyler Kolek, who might now, moving forward, see some more playing time, especially with Jalen Brunson not in there. Now to the captain, Jalen Brunson. The Knicks made an announcement earlier today. Brunson and his sprained right ankle, well, they're doing controlled court work is what the Knicks phrased it as. His status will be updated in approximately 1 week. So again, the sprained right ankle out of a boot. He's doing controlled court work, whatever that means. His status will be updated in approximately 1 week. So a week on Brunson, Deuce considered day-to-day. Now for the third member of this injury update, Ariel Hukporti, who we haven't heard from in a while. The torn meniscus in his left knee is healing. He is, quote, doing a little bit more, close quote, according to Tibbs. Of course, Ariel is on the court. He's been out since the injury back on February 26th against Philadelphia. But again, he's doing a little bit more on the court. So again, to wrap this up, Jalen Brunson, controlled court work, will be reevaluated in a week. Deuce, left groin contusion, didn't play tonight. Again, that's why we saw Cam Payne and Tyler Kolek at it. So we'll have to wait and see on Deuce, and then our Ariel Hukporti doing a little bit more. The Knicks did not get to 30 assists tonight. They got to 29, which usually is a pretty good benchmark. We've told you about 30-plus assists in a game. The Knicks have done it 24 times this season. They're now 22-2 when that happens. They did not get to the 30 assist benchmark tonight, however, still a win, and they got close. As we said, 29 assists to just 14 turnovers. Meanwhile, how about this ratio for Washington? Kudos to the Knicks defense. The Washington Wizards dished out 21 assists. They committed 20 turnovers. That ratio, my friends, not good. Again, 122-103 is your final score. As for the schedule, we told you it's a 3-game homestand. The Knicks are 1-for-1. Next up, Dallas on Tuesday at 7:30. The Clippers Wednesday also at 7:30. So back-to-back, obviously no travel, but back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday, Dallas and LA. Now, things get interesting next weekend. Friday, they're in Milwaukee for what amounts to a 1-game trip. So Washington, Dallas, LA at home, Milwaukee on the road, then right back home for Portland and Philadelphia. So again, it should be an interesting couple of days. As we said, 5 of the next 6 for New York are at home. And that's where the Knicks have thrived, 23-11 on home court. So the Knicks are now 4-4 without Jalen Brunson. Mikal Bridges scored 14 consecutive points at one night. And by the way, folks, if you recall earlier this week, or now technically last week, at one point, Karl Anthony Towns scored 15 consecutive points. So Bridges trying to get to that mark. He came close. 14 consecutive points for Mikal in the second quarter. He scored 20 total in that stanza, the second most in any quarter in his career. He put up 24 in the very first half. And again, the Knicks go on to win. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now. LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. Also want to mention our partners in crime, the All-Stars, Alex Wolf and Gavin Shaw. They handle all the stuff at Locked On Knicks. So follow, subscribe, and enjoy. They really are the best. All right, 122-103. Knicks improved to 44-26. Their best mark through 70 games in nearly 3 decades. As we said, Dallas Tuesday, clips on Wednesday. We'll see you Tuesday night right here on the Postcast. Have a good night, everyone.